nearly everybody's here, so this is great. So thank you everyone for coming tonight. Um, I know New Year's Eve is tomorrow night, and some of you may be staying up late. Others of you will be in your pajamas by 9 o'clock. So um, I appreciate you being here. All right, so we have a quorum. So without further ado, I'm going to um, start the meeting. Let's see. We can do a review of the minutes. Let's take a couple moments to review the minutes. So, and those should be on the hard drive. If anyone has trouble finding them, let us know.
This is last week's.
Yes, it would be, so
Okay.
it would be, yes, the 20, we didn't
All right.
meet Nick last week, it's 2 weeks
Right,
ago.
right. The previous
Yes,
meeting.
correct. Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had just put one comment in the margin.
Okay. Hang on. I'm looking for them myself. Hang on. Why am I not finding them? That is strange. 10:30, 10:23, 4. Okay, I'm not finding them for some peculiar reason. Um, let's see. And my son is making a lot of noise. Can you hang on one sec? Can you hang on one second? Hang on one second. I'm okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so let me find the minutes. Or we can, you know what? Why don't we just hold them till the next meeting? Because we have a lot to cover tonight, and I know that people want to get uh, get a lot done in a shorter amount of time. So,
I
speaking
don't
of,
I don't think they're there, Linda.
oh, okay then. Thank you. I'm glad
For
I,
the 18th, right? That would have been the
right.
day.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
didn't see them.
Okay.
Most recent I see is for the 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go back and review them. I want to do that anyway. Just go back and review all the minutes and make sure that everything is the way
Because I
it's
thought there was at least one that we had already deferred. Does that sound right?
possibly.
Okay.
Honestly, Mary Jude, I don't remember off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
Okay.
So, anyway, all right. So now, one item that I'm going to take out of order, an additional item, is that James, you had a request for timing of our meetings. Do you want to just mention to everyone what that request was?
Yeah, I was just proposing that for general meetings such as this, we try and keep a target stop time to 7:45 with
Mm-hmm.
a hard stop at 8. My fear, and I think we've had a few people drop off between those times
Mm-hmm.
in the past few, and if we're saving things like minutes towards the end that require quorum,
Mm-hmm.
in some cases we might not have it. So in
Mm-hmm.
special cases, I would be fine with heads up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just put that can be part of the agenda. Like if we say, hey, this is going to be something we talk about, maybe out of the ordinary, it's going to take some time. I'd be fine extending it, but just for general meetings,
Mm-hmm.
would people be in favor of keeping that target stop of 7:45 for an hour 15-minute meeting?
Right. I know everyone has put a lot of time into this. We've had a lot of 2-hour meetings. I think we've gone even beyond that at times. So I know everyone's put a lot of hard work into this. What do people, how do people feel about James's proposal? I mean, we can sort of have an informal rule that we'll try to keep it to that time frame. Um, does anyone object to having, say, a formal rule rather than a vote on this? Or what do people think? We can make it a goal.
Would be a good goal.
Okay, a goal. Anybody object to just informally making that a goal since we've had a lot of meetings that are a lot longer than that? Okay, no one objects. All right, good. Yeah, we've had a lot of meetings that are a lot longer than that. So, and I know people are, yeah, it's the holidays. So, all right, great. So, um, let's see here. Um, okay, so I'm getting to the agenda here. All right, so just some brief updates. So as I think I mentioned, we submitted the plan for pre-review to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. When I was running for office, I had actually reached out to EOHLC and with questions about the MBTA Communities Act and um, to get information to make sure I really understood it for the purposes of running, and then also for, of course, um, if and when I became a selectman. So I reached out to the person who I'd spoken to before, and she got right and said, we've submitted this, and we'd appreciate that you can review it, you know, in a timely manner, etc. And she got right back to me. And let's see, I want to see if I can find her email. Hang on a second. All right, it's going to take me a minute. I meant to have this up, but then I had trouble with my email. Hang on. Okay, so I actually wrote to her. What I actually said was, I just urged them to support our plan, etc. And she wrote, Linda, thank you for this email. We have Holden's pre-adoption in review and understand you have a planning board meeting in January and special town meeting scheduled for late February. Our team will be able to review these materials and provide our feedback to the planning staff in a timely manner. And I wrote back, thank you, exclamation point. I really appreciate the quick response and careful attention to our deadlines. Please let us know if you need anything from us. So I found that encouraging that they're at least, it's on their radar and they know what our deadlines are. So hopefully we will get a fairly prompt response from them. We'll see. We shall see. So that's, I think, any thoughts about that?
Do we have a plan if they don't approve it or contingency?
Well, I don't know that we do. And I personally am not quite prepared to discuss that tonight. But I mean, certainly if they don't, then we do have to consider a way forward. So,
Is is it either a yes or a no, or will they delay and say we would prefer if you do this?
yeah.
And what do we do in that
You
case?
know, I don't know the answer to that question. I've heard through the grapevine that if they deny your plan, they will give you reasons why, which seems only fair. And um, oh, Victor, you're nodding your head, and you may have some experience with this. What have you
Yeah,
heard?
they'll tell you what's wrong with the plan and how it doesn't meet the act.
Right, right. So
And James, it's not necessarily the state denying our proposal. It's kind of it's a feedback opportunity before town meeting approves it. Because if town meeting votes on this and approves it, and then we send it to the state, and the state says, "Oh, this doesn't meet the act," then we have to go through the whole thing again. This is something that the state offers where you send in the plan first. They'll take a look, let you know if there's any issues, and then you proceed to
mhm,
have town meeting vote on it. And if they do find issues, then I think it's up to our town council or our town manager or maybe the town meeting moderator to decide if any necessary tweaks to the proposal would still be within the scope of the warrant articles, and then whether town meeting can vote on them or not, or if we have to postpone it to the next town meeting.
right. I mean, it might also, and this is just off the top of my head, but I mean, we could go back to the Board of Selectmen with with a change if need be. Um, and let's hope that that's not necessary. Um, um,
But if something happened,
mhm,
Victor's explaining they could find some infirmity with it, and we would
mhm,
have to make some sort of change or have meetings that would prevent us from having that February date for town meeting. I
mhm.
think it would be very fair to say that we are making progress and that if the date is being pushed off, it's not for lack of the town of Holden trying.
Yes.
So I think that if that does happen, I don't think it puts us in a bad position. I don't think we stay on the naughty list because I think we have made so well. I think it has been an extraordinary effort.
Right,
So
right. Yes.
I think it's absolutely the best thing to do to have asked for this sneak preview. I think that's very helpful.
Yes. I wasn't chuckling because I wasn't taking what you were saying seriously or disagreeing with it. I'm just chuckling because you used the term naughty list. So, um, so anyway, it is that time of year. Um, all right. So, I just wanted to update all of you about that. Um, the main thing on our agenda. Oh, I also wanted to touch bases with Elizabeth about the meeting with the senior center and Ken about potentially talking to the Conservation Commission. Um, any updates on those?
I did speak with Karen Phillips at the senior center today about changing the community-wide meeting to January 27th.
Okay, great.
So we have that space booked for some kind of community-wide meeting. And then, yes, the seniors, Friends of the Council on Aging are expecting somebody to present to them on Monday, January 5th at 10 o'clock for their normal monthly meeting.
Right, and you and I will be there, which is great.
So, conservation meeting is next Wednesday, the 7th. So.
Right. Do you know if we're on the agenda? Were you able to confirm that?
I will get us on the agenda, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, that sounds good.
And Linda, I had said I wasn't sure if I was available on the 5th, but I am.
Oh, good. Good. That sounds great. That sounds great. All right, good. All right, so we've got a couple of meetings scheduled then. Okay, the 27th. I'm hoping I would want to make sure that Peter could be available on the 27th. We have talked about that date before, but I would. Oh, Peter just texted me. Hang on a second. He said, "Oh, okay, that's not about this." All right, so yeah, that's about something else. All right, so it's good to know those dates. Great, thank you. I'll double check with Peter, but I'm in any case, I think we need to move on the community meeting for sure. So, all right, great, thank you. Let's see. The next thing on the agenda is, let's see. The main event for tonight's agenda is the website. And Ron, I'm really glad you're here. I'm really glad you were able to join us tonight and show us the website. Oh, speaking of the website, there are also pictures. Ron, I had posted on the G Drive, Ron had posted on the G Drive pictures that had been requested. Can people turn on their cameras? It's a little. I have only a couple of people whose cameras are turned on, and it's just a little. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's just a little strange to be talking to a lot of black boxes. So, if people don't mind, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, anyway, thank you. Willie, you have a new baby at home. I suppose we can give you a dispensation. But if you can turn on your camera, that'd be great. Ken? Okay. I don't know. Ken, I don't know if you're in a position to put on your camera. But anyway, thank you very much. All right. So, if people need to turn it off at some point, that's fine. But it's helpful to be able to see most of you. So, all right, great. So, the pictures did anyone get a chance to look at the pictures that were posted? You did. Okay. And were those helpful? Victor's nodding. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, they look good. I mean, I would go with the aerials, although I could imagine someone who doesn't look at aerials maybe as often might not be able to tell what they are exactly. I don't know.
Right.
I like the aerials. I think the building footprints work too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I thought the aerials were easier to grasp, like to have it in context.
Okay. Okay. Are there Anyone feel differently? Okay, good. So then I guess we should go with the aerials. Um, so there, Ron, you had mentioned that your colleague Matt had other pictures, but I don't know if we need other pictures. Do folks think we need other pictures?
So I had him produce two sets of images. The one was the ones with the satellite images, and then the other set was one that was just the original with the zoning, but we added the building footprints to it.
Uh-huh.
I tend to agree with Victor that I think that the aerials came out better, or came out a little bit easier to understand. Um,
Mhm.
that was just my opinion, though.
Okay. So are
But
we
those are the only two sets that were in there.
Okay, so are we satisfied with what we have now for pictures? Okay, I see Victor nodding. I think James is nodding.
Yeah, I think they're good. Sorry, I am looking at them. I can only view the drive from my phone.
No worries, that's
So-
okay. And Will's giving me a thumbs up. Okay. All right, good. All right, very good. So, and then last but not least, before we get to the website, is I sent you all the latest version of the survey. And honestly, I'm hoping that no one has any further edits because we edited quite a bit. Does anybody have a burning desire for any more edits? Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So now on to the website. Ron, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay. So let me just share my screen. Here we go. And all right, can you all see this?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm seeing a black. There we go. Yes, I see it. Oh, I like
Yeah,
it.
just take a second.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is the what we've put together so far. I can share a link to it with you after the meeting, so you guys can take if you have any comments, we can change it, and it won't drag it out if we kind of change it on the fly. I think it's okay. So we're starting off with just sort of the basic, what is the MBTA communities law, and how does it apply to Holden? I included a link here to the state website that gives an overview of a more in-depth overview of the law and the provisions. And I included here some of the screenshots from some of the slides from the presentation we had done, talking about middle income, missing middle housing, what that
Right.
means, what some of the benefits are of having multifamily housing in town, and a little bit of what happens if Holden doesn't comply.
Mhm.
And if we scroll down, it goes into starting with talking about the proposed locations for the overlay.
Mhm.
I included just sort of the broad information. We could also, if we wanted to, include information about the maximum number of units.
Mhm.
I'm kind of, I was thinking of straying away from that, if only because
Mhm.
it's not necessarily the total number, the maximum number of units is not necessarily what's going to get built on these sites, and it
Right.
can sometimes trigger people to negative reactions if they see that. But if you want
Yeah.
in full disclosure, we can add it.
I don't see any reason to say anything about housing that isn't going to get built.
Okay.
If you want to just say 15, because that's the absolute minimum we need to do.
Yeah, I included the units per acre maximum that was in there so people could kind of see like how it fits in with the law. Um,
Ron,
but
how did you calculate that number, the units per acre? Is it
that
just from the
was
zoning
I
language?
don't know exactly what the mathematical what the formula was for it. But it's one of the outputs that the model generates for you when you put in when you run it through the compliance model.
So it takes out like setback areas and
Yeah, it
and
calculates it takes out all of the unbuildable land that's part of its excluded category, all the state land that you can't build on. And then it take whatever left over and divides it up based on the criteria of the zone that's being proposed. So your setbacks, your lot coverage, your height limitations, that kind of thing.
But
Okay.
it calculates more than we would actually ever, more than we're required to zone for. So,
Yeah,
I
so you
would,
only need for the whole zone, you only need
yeah.
that 15 units per acre, but
Right.
has
that's
to
what I
be
would put. I would put 15 times 39.1, whatever that ends up being. I would not put anything more than that.
I can just we can just eliminate that if you think it'll be too confusing. I do have some more of the output information down below, and it shows what the overall site rather than each individual site's units per acre would be. So we could remove that if it's easier. And then this is again, this is the next one. Same information. I can remove the units per acre if you guys feel that it's too confusing for people. And then moving on, have a little section on what is the zoning overlay, proposed zoning overlay allow, talking about the stories, 2.5 stories or 35 feet, 30-foot front yards, 15-foot side yards, 20-foot rear yards, maximum lot occupancy. So people can kind of, I try to make it as user-friendly as possible, so that it doesn't, people can kind of get a sense because people know what a side yard and a front yard is, but not necessarily what a setback is.
Do
Right.
we want to give context for the height? I think we were talking about this last time that people don't have a great conceptual sense of what 35 feet or 2.5.
Mhm.
Well, 2.5 stories is pretty self-explanatory, I guess, but we could say like same as a single family home or something like that.
I wonder if we could put pictures of existing housing around town, multifamily housing around town that is 35 feet high. You know,
I think that I think I'll check the buildings over on was it Newberry Drive? Because I know the limitation on that is I think 2 stories or 30 feet. It's pretty close to what that would look like.
mhm.
But it
Yeah,
may be a little bit, and I think it's a little bit less than what's allowed in the up zone, so it may not be the same height. It may be a little shorter than what we're thinking of here.
I'm wondering
I
if
thought there was a maximum coverage of the entire area.
That's not what I saw in the draft of the bylaw that was included in the provision, and I based that on the one that was included in annual town meeting. So I am.
Okay. I remember last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about 40% coverage. I didn't realize that changed.
When you say coverage, you're talking building footprints or all impervious?
Correct.
Okay.
I thought it was just building. I could be wrong. It could include parking and roads as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was only structures though.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite following the
On,
latest.
on lot coverage, depends on how it's written in the zoning code, and I'm not sure under this application, but a lot of times it includes all the impervious area. The building footprint and driveways, sidewalks,
Mhm.
patios, all.
I see.
Every town is a little bit different on that, but
Mhm. Okay.
then open space is kind of what's
Mhm.
left open, undisturbed.
Yeah, there's no
And
maximum
include lawn.
coverage. I'm looking at the bylaw now.
No maximum coverage?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's no open space requirement, I don't believe.
No
Okay.
open space requirement either, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're yards though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
So
open
30-foot front
coverage.
yard, 15-foot, yeah.
But-
But that's assuming they built out to the maximum that they could build, and these sites would be very unlikely that somebody would do that.
But
Right.
just to be clear though, these yards are the setbacks. So these are like the whole lot. You can't have a building within 30 feet of the front, 122 or 15 foot of a side. And between buildings, is there anything stated for building separation?
Between buildings themselves, I don't believe so. Like on the same lot, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
believe so.
We're talking apartments, an apartment complex, right? So they're not individual. It's not a condominium.
Well, the
Yeah,
other thing,
so if
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Multiple
so-
buildings per lot. So yeah, there could be. I mean, I think the fire code is 10 feet, maybe less. 40. I know some 40Bs go less than that, like down to 8.
Yeah, these are not going to be 40Bs though. So, yeah, that's a good question. Between buildings, I might ask the town planner about that, just out of curiosity, and just to be completely accurate.
yeah, no, I mean, I think like My understanding is that with that, you wouldn't be building on one parcel, you wouldn't be building multiple buildings. It would be one large building, but maybe they would be connected on some level because otherwise you'd be running into subdivision requirements. Because you're
Well,
generally can't, you can only put except like a primary building and an accessory building on a single lot, generally.
yeah, yeah, I
Well,
don't
that's not the
know.
way, that's not Newbury Drive though. There's multiple buildings on that one lot.
Right, right,
Mm.
Under site plan.
right.
I think there was a site plan decision, presumably. I'll have to
Okay.
ask them.
Yeah, I think we need more information about that. I think we need more information. What can we put? There will be no high rises on here. I'm actually serious, because that has been a rumor uh, that has been floating around. Um, and
In the, I'm sorry, in the packet, I'm not sure, Linda, if you had attached it, but the Paxton pictures,
Mhm.
one of them was of the complex in Holden on Main Street near Sunnyside that shows this is what multifamily 15 units per acre looks like.
Oh,
Those little like colonial looking brick. I'm sorry, I don't know the address and I don't know where that attachment is, but it's somewhere in the
Huh.
stuff.
I will look for that. I will look for that. That would be useful because I think a picture of what this might look like would be very
Yeah.
helpful to people.
Mhm.
And I do think we should have some sort of statement here that says there will be no high rises. Just to try to quell that rumor.
Well, where it
Nobody
says
knows.
height of 2.5 stories, 30 feet, parentheses, no high rises.
No, yes, I would love that. I think that's very important.
So you were saying in the materials that you had from Paxton, you had an image. Is that in the Google Drive?
I'm not sure. I can track it down. I'm making
Okay.
notes
I'm
of
not
things to
sure.
do.
I'm remembering opening it from an email, but that doesn't mean it didn't end up in the Google
Okay.
Drive. But it was part of the Paxton, what was on the Paxton webpage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, this is what 15 units per acre looks like around Paxton. And there was a Worcester property and a Paxton property and this Holden one right on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody drives past it every day.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I will track that down, Mary Jude. I will track that down because I do think a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And so pictures of what this could actually look like are very important. We need
What
to
is the actual zoning designation?
Some sort of multifamily zoning. We have multifamily zoning already, of course.
Right. And
MBTA overlay district.
Yeah, it's an overlay, meaning that you can the current zoning still applies. So
is it R-M?
It's
So it's not in.
MCMOD, MC mod.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's not what
It's
I'm
not
looking
in
at.
the current zoning code, right? It's still because it wasn't adopted in a town meeting, so it wouldn't be in the current code, right?
The one I'm looking at is 12/12/25.
yeah, well, it wouldn't be in our. I don't know. I'm not going to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the proposal that we were basing it on was the zoning that was not adopted at annual town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's we're asking them to adopt both the district and the zoning language for at this current town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
James, I put a link to the proposed bylaw in the chat.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Just so you know, we're not technically supposed to use the chat, just to remind people, because this is a public meeting and I guess that doesn't record or something like that. But we can post that on the G Drive. But thank you.
It actually is in the G Drive. I believe it's listed as the annual town meeting minutes with the proposed language. I forget how I actually worded it, but it is in there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to put no high rises next to the height statement. I think that's important. And I think, like I said, pictures would be great. So,
Yeah, I'm not texting people. I'm actually writing notes on my phone. So just so you know, if I look like I'm looking
okay,
at my phone, that's why.
good. I'm glad you're not multitasking.
I just realized I forgot to grab the pad before I sat down here. So.
No worries. Okay, so moving on then.
So the last two bits were I added some language about how does the proposed zoning overlay comply, and this is where I was talking about this little table down, which gives a comparison of what is required by the law and then what the proposed zoning actually generates. And I was incorrect; it doesn't actually include a units per acre calculation. I don't know why it doesn't generate that, but. But again, this comes directly from the compliance model that we were given by EOHLC.
This didn't go ahead. Anyone have any comments about this? I'm not sure this is going to be helpful to the general public, frankly. I just think it's a lot of numbers.
Linda, I think it's actually pretty nice to have in the sense that it shows we're doing the absolute bare minimum. So people
Oh,
can't push back and say these districts are too big or allowed too many units.
okay.
But I agree that maybe the way it's presented is a little inaccessible to the general public.
Mm-hmm.
So if maybe the lines, the rows could be simplified in terms of the language and maybe some of the stuff that's like there's a lot the developable station area percent unit capacity within transit station area since it's zero on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Just scrap that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think showing that we're doing the bare minimum is
Mm-hmm.
going to be helpful.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I had also considered just writing it out as a bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had sort of I originally wanted to create a new table that was a little bit cleaner than this, but
Mm-hmm.
that functionality is unfortunately I don't know how to do it on this website on this particular platform. But I can do it as bullet points where I can say this is what the minimum and then comma state requires.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can add some language that really punches out saying that this is the minimum. This is like these are the minimum standards that we're meeting here.
Mm-hmm.
Like any lower than this, and we wouldn't be in compliance with the law. You know?
Right. I would be personally confused by the third column because I would wonder, the minimum required by law is 750. Why are we building 759? Or not building? We're not building them. We're zoning for them. And I understand. At least my understanding is that it's because, we have to, because of the acreage, we can't, may not be able to get it strictly to, 20, 39 here and 11 there. It has to be point something. It has to be, it's not a round number. I get that, but I would personally, looking at this, be confused by why we would have anything other than 7439 and 750 and 50. I'd just be confused by that. That's part of my thinking, but that's just me.
No, that's fine. I can do something different with this. That's not a problem.
Okay. I mean, Victor, your thoughts?
I agree with that.
Okay.
At the top where it says the proposed zoning changes to map area comply fully with the minimum requirements of the law and could result in more than 750 new units at full build out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily against that language, but I think we should say something like 750 new units at full build out, which may take a decade or more, or something like that. I don't know. Just to qualify that those aren't going to be just dropped on those sites overnight.
Right, but I guess I don't really understand why we would talk about having more than 750. I mean, I don't see that that's going to happen. It's not required. We're not required to zone for that. I just, again, I just think it creates confusion. That's my concern.
I agree with that. Don't put anything more than 750.
So do we really need to talk about modeling? I mean, modeling is sort of it's
think
I don't think people understand that this, what a model is. I think they're just going to say, oh, this is it. This is real.
hmm
And a model is not real.
I think it to me it would be confusing. I wouldn't understand it if I hadn't immersed myself in zoning for the last 6 months. So,
So I could rework it to show to so that it says this is what's required. This proposal meets these standards.
yes, yes, that to me makes sense.
End of story. We
End
can
of
just have
story.
it like that. That's fine.
Right. Okay,
If,
great.
if there's a table left in and that introductory statement stays, could we say something more innocuous or just where the second phrase is, for example, the proposed zoning change in maps, the proposed zoning changes in map areas comply fully with the minimum requirements of the law, resulting in the required zoning for potential 750 units. Something along those lines, resulting in the potential.
I don't know why we need to say it if we're just answering the question. How does the proposed zoning overlay comply? It complies.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes.
Yes, then there's that option. Yep.
Well, I do. So the sort of the thinking behind this was being able to show that when inevitably somebody sees the model numbers, because this is all public record, this is all something that's going to be out in the public,
Mm-hmm.
will be able to say up front that it is this way because we have to. These are the standards we have to meet. This is how we got as close to that as possible, given the conditions of the land that we had. And that's why the town went with it. So that was really kind of the only purpose of that. If I think that it's like most of your recommendations, I think are good. I do think it would be good to at least say what the state requirements are for the town of Holden, so people know you have to have 50 acres, you have to have 750 units minimum. The space for 750 units minimum.
Right.
And this proposal meets those standards.
Right. I think that simple statement is fine.
Mhm.
I think more than that just confuses people and it's never going to happen. So, yeah, that's my thought. So,
Question. Are we saying that in totality that these two parcels would support 750 units or each of these parcels? 39 acres,
total.
In total, yeah.
in both, okay.
Between the two sites, yes. Okay, and I will be happy to make those changes, clean it up a little bit, make it a little simpler, and make sure that we're talking about what's required, making that the language up front. And then the last thing I did on here was I had gone ahead and input the most recent version of the survey language that I had. I heard Wendy you saying, I'm sorry, Linda, you saying that there is a more updated version. If I can get that, I can just go ahead and make the changes directly into this platform.
I think it's on the website.
It's on the Google Drive, you mean?
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. The Google
Okay.
Drive, yes. I think it is. I can double check that, but I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it is. So,
Ron, it's still pretty heavily redlined, so you'll know which one. You'll know you're looking at the correct one if you see red lines all over it.
Okay, I'll download it and clean it up and make sure, and I'll go ahead and compare the two of these to make sure that they're the same. But just give you a quick overview of the structure. There's two ways you can do it. There's going to be a link here where people can go to it. We also will have a QR code that we'll be able to send out to people. We'll be able to print on a flyer if you still want to put the flyer, make it available in certain physical locations. But I just want to walk you through what it looks like digitally embedded in the website. Just sort of walk through the first few questions. We're not going to go through the language because obviously there's probably stuff in here that has changed, but I just wanted to show you what it would look like for people as they're going through it. So, and these are the bylaw provisions. These were the ones where we were giving them statements and then asking them to respond to how much they agree or disagree. Again, I'm mostly showing you this in terms of format. So if you have any comments on how it's laid out and want me to change anything regarding that, let me know. Then the next part is looking at the individual sites. I did include the same information, the total acres and the buildable acres. If you think it would be helpful, I can remove the units per acre from this as well. But again, this one was just looking for comments.
I think a general statement just that, will be, the requirement is 15 units per acre, and this meets that requirement, I think is fine.
Okay.
Personally. So,
and then as you walk through, you get sort of the final questions. And that's it.
One question. I saw some statistics below the overhead for Trap Rock. It said something like, scroll down just a little bit, 25 units per acre, 25 times 40.
yeah, I think that's confusing. Yeah.
Well, 25 times 40 is 1,000, and I don't think that's right.
Right. It's not. It's confusing. I agree.
Yeah, so I can take that out. Like I said, these numbers came from the model. So I'm not entirely, I can't speak to exactly how they were calculated right now. But I can take those out, and if there's any additional concern about that. Like I said, I think I liked what Linda had said about changing the language to meets the minimum of 15 units per acre between the two sites.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
and I think just to explain the units per acre, it's 25.5 units per buildable acre. So if you multiply those two bottom numbers, you get 500 and something units. And then if you spread those units across the entire site, the 39.1 total acreage, that's when you end up with the 15 units per acre sort of minimum value. So it's giving you how many units per acre you'd have to have on the buildable portion of the site to reach the 15 units per acre across the entire site.
Okay, thank you.
I think that will confuse.
It's definitely going to be confusing. I think we should take it out. With that being said,
I focus a lot on what will people understand. You know what I mean? And what will they take away from this, rather than all the technical details, which, you and Victor and to some extent me, since I've become a zoning nerd in the last 6 months as a result of this project, and other folks here might understand. I think we have to make it very clear, very straightforward, and not confuse people with details that aren't going to fit into the whole picture for them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. So I'm happy to make that change. We could definitely do that. I will do the edits to this section, and the edits to the survey, including the changes in language that you guys have done since the last one I had. Was there anything else on here that you wanted to see? Like for instance, I went through the myths language that you had in there, but I wasn't sure if that was the kind of thing you wanted to be public facing, or if that is something more that you were mulling around internally to try to understand where people's concerns might come from.
I feel as though, well, I'm supposed to be moderating, not talking all the time. My apologies. What are people's thoughts about that?
Well, I think that myths document was really good. I definitely think it should be public. How front and center should be on this website, I don't really know. And I'm not sure how you would fold it into the website either. But I think it should be Yeah, what we wrote up should be pretty accessible. And
Right.
related to that, I kind of had a thought about this website too. I think we talked a lot about at the last meeting how we want to try and really emphasize the negative consequences to Holden for not complying with the act. And I think there
Right.
was a general feeling in our group that we're not scaring people enough, bottom line. So I kind of feel like the website, if you scroll up a little bit, there's the section
Mhm.
on what happens if you don't comply. Um, I think it's a little too far down and it's not scary enough. I'm looking at this and I'm not quite understanding, like just at a glance, right? If I don't know the act very well, I'm not seeing what's so scary here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to like put some bold language that says the state will, the state will likely create the zoning district themselves and impose it on the town,
Right.
and we will lose funding for all of these things. I don't know. Um,
And
Yeah,
right.
I
And
think emphasizing the grants is.
mhm.
Uh, I think the people who are voting no and are on the fence, they're going to have a tougher time caring about the grants versus getting it zoned by the state. I think that's I think that will sway more voters than I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sure the grants add up to be something substantial, but if you're looking at them, I mean, uh, I guess that's my opinion.
Mhm.
I think put the state has the ability to zone it for us. Front, I think that's number one.
Right. I mean, right
Yeah.
now what we have is a plan for gradual development, and who knows if any, if some of it will ever happen. The state could come in and um, they could zone in areas where it would be much easier to build than some of the sites that, at least one of the sites that we've identified. And so, um, yeah, and yes, so I think it's important to mention that. And in terms of our myths page is now an FAQ. We decided last week to make it an FAQ, Ron, just so you know. Um,
Okay.
and I still I I want to add a little bit more to it. I didn't want to go over it tonight because I was concerned about how long the looking at the website may take us, et cetera. So I didn't put it, I wasn't thinking of doing it tonight. But I think it's important to address the issue of taxes, for example. Um, so, which I have a nice quote from the Pioneer Institute about that. The Pioneer Institute is a somewhat right-leaning public policy institute, and they basically say that the taxes, it doesn't really have um, a negative impact on taxes. Basically, it all comes out in the wash. Um, so I think that's an important thing to add. But again, I didn't plan it for tonight just because um, I didn't think we'd have time. So, um, so anyway, um,
I think to what
I,
James is saying, I mean, all of these points are things that we have to talk about. What do we lead with? I mean, all of these, we have to be able to answer the questions. Well, doesn't the modeling show blah, blah, blah? Yes. And Victor just explained it really well. What about taxes? Yes, we have an answer here. But the crux of the thing is you can do it or they can do it. What do you
mhm,
want?
mhm,
And I
right.
thought we
they,
talked about some specific language, and maybe it's in the FAQs. I think we used the word likely. The state is likely to do this
Mm,
if we
mhm,
don't.
mhm, right.
So, I mean, if you say they can, it's like, well, would they? Who cares? They
Mhm,
do care, and it is likely that they would do
mhm,
it.
right.
and if people are bringing it up, I you can ask them, what would be your plan if the state comes in?
Right.
Fight a lawsuit against the state, and that was my point last time. That's not happening.
Right.
Or
Right.
that it's no, it's it's not financially viable, and then they can talk about the money.
Right. And Milton
That's
already lost that fight.
lawyers.
All right. Milton already lost that fight. So,
I had another question real quick. I think it said something about maximum occupancy
hmm.
on. I might be going back. I lost audio for like 5 minutes. I apologize. That was when I looked very confused at
This
the
one
juncture.
here.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so the maximum lot occupancy is referring to the amount of space that you can take up with built structures.
Okay.
So typically there's a percentage of open space that's required or a percentage of space that has to be left unbuilt. But with no maximum lot occupancy, really the only thing you would do is you would build a square around the area that's removing your front yard, your side yards, your rear yards, and then everything in there is potentially buildable.
Okay. So this is what we spoke about before. I would just clarify
Yeah.
that language. Sorry, I'm circling back, I know, but just clarify that because somebody might say no maximum lot occupancy. We could stick 10,000 people on there.
And right, that's not true. Right.
Yeah.
And I would
Maybe
put something. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna suggest maybe we just eliminate
Yeah.
that point because it is already a summary of the of what's required in the law, and if we think that's going to confuse people and bring people to incorrect conclusions, then it may be better just to leave it off of here.
Right.
Because we can include if we wanted to, we could include a link to the language if people wanted to dive deeper.
So
I think it. Go ahead.
what is the legally binding language of if down the line a developer does come along and they say this lot was 40 acres, 15 units per acre, that's 600 units, I want to build 800. What is preventing them from doing that? Because that's the language I would put in here if there is any.
I'm not sure. I think that would be something that maybe Dave or Peter could answer. I'm not aware of any that would, I don't know that there's anything in the bylaw that's proposed that limits the development to that.
I don't know either, but I would be surprised if the planning board would ever approve something like that. I just
So
don't
now, one thing I would say is that
Yeah.
with the land that we estimated is buildable, you can't physically build even with the requirements here. The zoning here says that 759 units between the two sites that came out of the model is the absolute maximum you can build, given your zoning, given the constraints on the land, given the size of the districts. So, there's really no possibility that somebody could come in and build 800 units on there because you can't build high enough, you can't build outward enough, you can't build dense enough based on the fact that the land is constrained and you have those other requirements, the other restrictions of the law.
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting my skeptic hat on, and if there's no legal language that's binding to a maximum amount of units, I mean, I guess, yeah, you could refer to the model, but that's not going to get the fear out of people's minds. And you can refer, and I guess we'd have to see them all. I guess again, skeptic in me, but.
Well, it's good to have the skeptical questions now so that we can make sure to make things.
If I'm getting up there and we are asked the question, I mean anybody, and they're asked the question, what is preventing them from building 1,000 units on the Newberry Drive, and we point to a model. I guess I don't know the model. I can't speak to that.
Well, you can say because we have height limitations and not all of the land is buildable land. And when you do all of that analysis, what comes out at the end of the day is X for one and Y for the other, and the total is 759.
Right.
I think you could stick a lot more units in there than that.
Well, the way that the model basically does is it groups it imagines it as a series of squares, really, and you take all the lands you can't build on, you take all of your setbacks, you take all of your height limitations, and with this little pocket of land that's left over is what they estimate you can build on.
Right.
And it's a very accurate, and I think it's a very trustworthy estimate of what you can physically build on there with a 35-foot height limit, which again is not very high. 2.5 stories for multifamily is not very much. So you're really limited in how many units you can stick on that before you start bumping into land that you legally can't build on
Right.
in those two sites.
Ron, do you know what the model assumes in terms of unit size?
That's a good question. I'm not sure what that is, but I can find that out.
And the
Here's
model does calculate the amount of space you'd require for parking, right?
It does. It takes out the amount that you would need for parking and the amount that you would need for right of way
Yeah.
in order to access the site.
And all the parking would be surface parking only?
I believe so, yes. It's whatever the zoning bylaw requires, and I don't think it requires underground or stacked parking.
Here's a little known fact that I discovered when I was talking to the folks at EOHLC when I was running for office. There's actually no minimum number of bedrooms in the law, required in the law. So you could have one bedrooms.
Speaking of,
Yeah, you can actually have one bedrooms.
it's
So,
just size, right? It's square footage. It has to be over 750 square feet, correct?
I don't know about that.
That was, I believe, the original Holden multifamily zoning, not the overlay. So again, 800 square feet times 300 units, that's 240,000 square feet. So double that because you can build 2 stories. So you can have 600 units and 240,000 square feet. Like stairwells and all that other stuff, yes, but that's 5.5 acres. You're telling me there's not a square on that parcel of land? You can't build 5.5 acre square. I'm that's
I
what
just,
I'm afraid of
yeah, I'm not
getting asked, and we won't have an answer.
Yeah.
Well, let me reach out to David, and Peter and see if they can give us a little guidance on that. And Victor, I see you were saying you seem to be, you were shaking your head or something. I wanted to get your,
No, I'm not really. I think I agree with James that this may come up and that we'll have a hard time explaining it.
mm-hmm,
But I also think the scenario James is laying out,
mm-hmm,
where a developer just, it's not simple math. Like you said, there's stairways, there's common areas, there's,
mm-hmm,
there's entry points to buildings, there's drive aisles, there's sidewalks,
mm-hmm,
parking. You can't just plop a building on the site and say, oh, it'll have 800 units. It just doesn't end up working that way. But we
mm-hmm,
can't stand up at town meeting and explain that and people take us seriously either. So I don't know.
mm-hmm,
It would be nice if the zoning bylaw language was specifically limiting on the number of units, either by saying each unit requires a certain amount of lot area, so that you end up running up to a cap,
Or
um,
or write
or
in 15 units per acre.
yeah,
I,
something like that, or even
I
just a flat cap on the number of units at each site, although I'm not sure you can do that in zoning. But James is right. I mean, the language itself doesn't have any limitations.
mm-hmm,
I
Exactly.
I on camera said we have a good plan.
mm-hmm.
Right now, I say we have a good plan. We have a bad bylaw. That's
Well,
my honest opinion.
okay.
The one thing I would raise at this point to just to let you all know, obviously you're empowered here to do whatever you all like, but I would just want to put out the warning that if we start tinkering with the language in the bylaw, it's going to change the calculations for the sites because the model takes the language, uses the language that's in the bylaw in
Mm-hmm,
order to generate its outputs. So there's a point where if we start tinkering with it a lot, then that will end up changing what the compliance model puts out, and then that could delay being able to put this before town voters substantially. So
When's our next meeting? Next week?
yes, assuming,
Next
yeah,
Thursday?
yep.
Can we set aside 45 minutes to an hour to go just over this model so we'd be prepared to answer these questions and give me some peace of mind.
I'd be happy to get like we'd be happy to give to show you what the model goes. I don't know that that's going to help though. I mean, it might help in giving you peace of mind, but I don't know it's going to help in communicating this to the general public because
Mhm.
either people are going to trust that models work or they don't trust that models work, and there's not going to be. We have to find a way to be able to bridge that gap without saying, "Oh well, trust the model," because if you don't trust the model, I don't know that there's an easy way to get people to understand it without,
Mhm.
setting aside 45 minutes with all the voters to let them to try to get them to understand what's happening with it.
Mhm. Um, just thinking out loud here. I mean, I think it would be helpful to try to understand from Dave, our town planner, sort of how this might all fit together. Don't know if he is available to meet with us next week. I know that he had met with us initially the first few meetings, but he does have a regular Thursday night commitment with one of his kids. I could find out if he could attend. Um, so um, I can ask him. Would people like me to ask him if he can attend? Or I don't know, James, would you want to have a conversation with him? Or how would people like to approach this? James, were you going to say something?
I'll step back and I'll let somebody else talk before me.
Can we find out, I mean, can the language in the bylaw be changed at this point, or there's
don't-
no more changes between now and town meeting?
I think it would be tough. Well, I think we'd have to have the Board of Selectmen change it, if I understand. Or actually, wait, we have to have bylaw, well, let's see. At a minimum, we'd have to have the Board of Selectmen change it, and then I think, do we need planning board and town meeting approval? I do not know. So,
Okay. Well, I would say we should find that out.
yes.
Because if we can, I really think you could just put in a simple maximum 15 units per acre density
Mm-hmm,
limitation
mm-hmm,
across the entire overlay district.
mm-hmm.
Ron, I don't think that would affect the calculations because that's already what it's coming out as the maximum. But that would have to be confirmed. And then if we can't change the bylaw, I think we should just tell people that the zoning district results in a maximum 750 units across the various sites. And if
Right.
someone asks, how do you know that? We say we've done modeling that shows that would be the maximum that could be built there.
Mm-hmm,
The more we get into the details on how the model works, the
mm-hmm,
more someone who doesn't believe the model is going to just start, picking holes.
mm-hmm,
And if they don't believe the model to begin with,
mm-hmm.
there's no way you're going to be able to convince them that it's functioning.
I think if we have a basic grasp of it to the point where we can communicate it, I think that's going to help. I don't.
Hmm.
I think if you can say this land is off limits because of wetlands, this land is off limits because of the uh the spacing between adjacent properties, the setbacks. I mean, if all that math adds up and it makes sense, that's very much explainable. I have a tough time believing in the example that I just stated, which may come up, and somebody could get their phone out, do a calculator, and do exactly what I just did, and say, "Why can't this is what I'm getting? What's preventing this?" And we don't have an answer,
Mm-hmm.
and the bylaw does not have an answer.
Well, can Ron give us a demo of the model next week then?
No, because I don't do the model. Matt does the modeling, and he's not here, so I would not be able to figure out how to do the modeling in time for next Thursday.
Okay.
So with the time constraints that we have, that wouldn't be possible. Now I could go through the user guide that we have and see if I can pull out some key pieces of it that we might be able to run through like a little presentation to talk about how this works. But I wouldn't be able to do a live demonstration of it
When is
without
Matt?
that. He's going to be back. I'm not sure. I think after the next week, and I think he's out for the next week and a half, at least.
And is he here this week?
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's already out.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll reach out to Dave. And anyway, so I'm happy to, I mean, do people want to talk about this some more next week? And have Ron show us what he can show us, or how do people want to proceed?
I would appreciate as much background as possible in order to field questions.
Great. Okay.
I think what would be helpful is if the people who understand modeling can tell those of us who either don't understand or don't trust models, like a script to explain it, that everybody uses the same words, because it is confusing. And if it's something that can be reduced to 4 or 5 points, this is how it works. This is how we got to the numbers. I would appreciate having sort of bullet points.
And even if it's something we could recreate on GIS, like manually, very crudely, and we could say this zone is locked out, this is locked out, that's this acre, your result is this many acres. Yeah, that's at minimum, that's I think what I need to understand personally. And I don't know if people agree with that or not.
I agree.
Okay, so yeah, I think having something written out and having as much detail as we can get, I think, is useful. Because we're gonna get a lot of questions. We'll get questions we didn't anticipate at all. And the more prepared we are, the better. So
I'll just throw it out there. The EOHLC has a 50-page user guide for the compliance model. We probably do want someone to summarize that into bullet points, but if anyone's really interested in the modeling and the details of it, it's out there on their website.
Okay, that's
Can you
helpful.
send a link?
On the drive.
Yeah, I can put it on the drive.
Yes. I see that anything else specific tonight that people want to discuss about this. My thought is it would be helpful to have everyone have this link and look at this over the next week or so to see what else we might want to add, or you know, just to have more time to think it over and really make sure it includes the information and the messages that we want it to include, and then we can talk about it some more at our next meeting. Does that make sense to people?
It does. Can we think about making it look less like a rolling, like you scroll through a bunch of slides? Could we sort of do some graphic design stuff on it?
Not really, no. This is a very limited site, and this is the platform that we have available to be able to put information out. We're not able to add additional stuff to our main website, given the constraints that we have. So this is really the only platform that we have available. Now we can add more images to it so that it's, but it is ultimately going to end up looking like kind of a fancy PowerPoint presentation is essentially what it's going to remain as.
So that's because CMRPC is hosting it?
That's correct. Yes. If we're designing it, this is what we have the ability to work with.
Yeah. I thought, did Peter mention at one point that it's possible that the town could host the website?
I believe he did. Yes.
So maybe that's a question we could follow up with.
Right.
The
Yes.
manager.
Yes, I could follow up with him about that. So
people aren't going to scroll all the way through this.
No, they're not. That's absolutely right, unfortunately. Yes. It would be helpful to have sort of like links that people can connect, can click on, and then be taken to the information they want, instead of having them scroll. Is that an example of the kind of thing that people are thinking about?
I mean, we could put, I can put links to all the headers in at the top of it so people can go to various sections. I was just attempting to try to make it as simple as possible, but it is a lot of information, and it's going to be very difficult in a very short amount of time to summarize this in a way that is going to be more user friendly than what we have here.
Right, right. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, I think that would be a better format. Certainly would be links instead of scrolling. But I feel people can look at this over the next week or so and then come with ideas. And I'll reach out to Dave and the town manager, Dave Lindbergh, the town planner, and the town manager. And if we want to allocate some time next week to go over the model, et cetera, next week, I think that would be fine. So,
Can I ask about the survey? So there's a small amount of editing of me consolidating the language that you produced last time with what's on here, just making sure they're the same. They may be. I just want to double check to make sure we're looking at the right thing. But once we've done that, is the committee comfortable with being able to publish this and start advertising it? Just because we're rapidly running out of useful time to actually do this survey. So we're going to have it launched at the latest after the next meeting for it to get any meaningful data in the time you have left. Because we're already into the first week of January.
I would just say run it.
anyone disagree with that?
If no one has any comments by tomorrow, run it.
Okay,
Run the
that's
survey?
fair.
I'm not the final decision maker. I don't have a problem with it.
Well, let me find out about, make sure that Peter,
But we want to show the survey was
Oh.
part of the website. It was part of the scrolling.
you're
So is
talking
it gonna
about the
live somewhere
survey, not the,
separate?
oh,
Just the survey.
Come on, what are you doing? There we go. Yeah, just the survey. So what I
Yeah.
would end up, you can still talk about the website next week. I'm just saying that if we have,
Okay.
if the committee is comfortable with us publishing the survey, I can send out the link and the QR code to Linda, and then you can start advertising it on whatever on the channels that you have available. And then once you've decided next week what you want, that you're comfortable with the website, we can publish that, and that can be linked to the town website. But any changes I make, if it's still embedded in the website, any changes I make to the survey will automatically update in that embed. So we won't have to worry about redoing anything on that for the website.
okay. If we can, assuming the town manager and can make the, what is it, the January 27th meeting at the senior center, Elizabeth?
Yep,
Should we include that in the survey? There is a spot for it.
there is a spot, I think we should.
Yes. So I'll email Peter tonight and just ask, can he be there on the 27th? Was it 7 o'clock, Elizabeth? Was that-
I booked it for 6:30, but I don't know how that works, like if we could have the meeting start at whatever time you think is appropriate.
Okay, I'll ask Peter that too.
And if I could just toss in there, because we have that meeting with the Friends of the Council on Aging coming right up
Yeah.
on Monday, the more we have for places to point them for information, again, like if they want to reread or listen, see in print some of the stuff we talk about at the meeting, then it would be great if we had a reference point that we could send them to, and as well as the survey. So I just really support the idea that the faster we can get the survey accessible, the better.
Right. That makes sense. Great. Beautiful. All right. Is there anything else that people want to discuss tonight? Okay, then James, it seems as though we have met your goal.
Succeeded.
Of trying to end at 7:45 or so.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Take care.
Thank
Have a
you very
great night,
much. Have a good
everybody.
night.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Take care.
Year.
Okay, bye-bye.